Good morning, everyone. We can go ahead and get started. And if anyone misses out, we are going to be recording it so they can go back and review it. But thank you for joining our nursing student panel. I'm Daniela Arellano. I am currently a nurse. I just moved to SF, so I'm a nurse at UCSF in inpatient diabetes education. And I am going to just ask our panelist. So we have 3 panelists who, if you can just say your name and what school you're currently going to, or what school you just recently graduated from, and what program you're doing. So any of you that want to start.
Okay, I'll start. My name is Chris Vela. I'm currently an associate degree nursing student in Southern California in a college called Southwestern College. And I'm also cross-enrolled into a BSN program at Grand Canyon University.
I'll go next. My name is Kayla. I'm entering my 3rd semester at Samuel Merritt University, and I am in the entry-level master's program on the track to become an FNP.
My name is Leticia. I just recently graduated from Samuel Merritt University. I was in their ABSN program.
And I just heard that we actually have our other 2 panelists on the call as well. So if you guys can also introduce yourself and what school you're going to and what program you're doing.
I can go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniela Regalado, and I'm a 2nd-year nursing student in the Master's Entry Level Program, or MEPN program, at the Betty Irene Moore School of Nursing at UC Davis.
All right, I'll go next. My name is Aries. I am in the Sac City BSN nursing program. I'm in my 3rd semester right now, so I'm happy to help out today.
Perfect. Really great to have you guys. Thanks for also taking some time off. I know nursing school is super busy, so thank you guys. So I'm going to just start with the first question. So why did you want to become a nurse? And any of you feel free to start with the question.
I guess I could start. Why did I want to become a nurse? I guess it's a trait that we're all going to share, most likely, and it's about helping people, just making a difference in someone's life. That who wouldn't want to help someone's life improve, you know? Just a little tangent from my scenario. I come from a family. Another reason why I want to be a nurse, I come from a family of trades people, you know, of construction, mechanics, and you know, my parents didn't have the privilege to even finish high school because, you know, my parents are immigrants from Mexico. And for me, becoming a nurse is a way to inspire my future generations to also strive for, you know, for a good degree. And what better way to show motivation to family and to other people in your community than to become a nurse. And, you know, I feel something that's important is that a lot of minority populations, we go through a lot of obstacles to get here. To nursing school is not easy as it is. And there's so many obstacles in the way sometimes that I feel it's important for our population to be represented in the field. So it's motivation for me to keep going.
I guess I'll go next.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No, go ahead.
But just to piggyback off of Chris, I'm the same. I come from a family that kind of doesn't do anything in the medical field and anything kind of in that general area, just to say the least. But I wanted to be one of the first in my family just to make a difference and just to help people in general. Because I know a lot of people, old or young, they just need help, whether or not how many issues they have. It's already hard enough just to find somebody just to care for you if you're just by yourself. So being in this program kind of helped me, you know, with being on the floor, seeing normal people in regular or extreme circumstances. And it kind of helped me learn in general to kind of recognize what's really going on. And it kind of hyped me up more to kind of want to keep being in this nursing program and doing what I'm doing. But in general, I wanted to be a nurse because first, I just wanted to be the first in my family to kind of do something medically related. And also I just want to help people. I know a lot of people kind of go through different things, hard times, hardships and stuff like that. So it helps being somebody like us, somebody who actually cares for these people that aren't related to us directly, to kind of help for them in general and just help them out. So yeah.
I guess I'll go next. I have a little bit of an unconventional story. I actually started off as a criminal justice major for 2.5 years. And it was the diagnosis of terminal cancer with my grandmother that kind of helped mold my passion for nursing. I became her caretaker. I gave her meds. The hospice nurses taught me how to, administer, change her fentanyl patches. And that was a big game changer for me. We're like, this is what I want to do. I want to be there, for people at their most vulnerable moments. And then when I started clinicals in my nursing program, I really saw the need for Spanish speaking nurses to kind of help bridge that communication and that gap between patients and, healthcare providers. And it just fueled, everything for me even further, that I want to be able to help, our solely Spanish speaking patients understand why things are being done, and to kind of just give them a better outlook of, why medications are being given, why they need to take care of their diabetes, hypertension control, and these big diseases that are kind of tackling specifically, Hispanics more. So that was my story.
I can go very similar to Leticia. So I'm a first generation immigrant. My family came over to the US when I was an infant. So just growing up, I would have to interpret for my parents, both in the healthcare setting and out of the healthcare setting. So just overall, I observed that there was a lack of Latinx representation in healthcare, and more so like the lack of providers that were able to speak Spanish. And so I really just want to be able to give back to my community and have them feel supported and understood. So that's kind of what drove me to want to pursue nursing.
Great, thank you guys. So if anyone else want to share, anyone else that hasn't, if not, we can just move on to the next question. Okay. So the next question is, was it challenging to get into a California nursing program?
I guess I'll start again. Was it challenging to get into a program? I would say yes, because I see that a lot of us have a background where none of our family are in healthcare. And so it's difficult sometimes, at least in my instance, my family, it's hard for them to relate to me as a college student. It's difficult. There's so many obstacles in the way. You really need to be motivated and dedicated to what you're doing, to your grades. Grades mean a lot, to like, especially in prerequisites, they mean a lot. So if you can't really mess up with those, so you really need to be dedicated, and you need to be supported most of all. And if you can't find support in other people, at least motivate yourself. That's what the way I had to do it, because my family couldn't really relate to me. Was it challenging? Yes, but there's always a way. No matter what, there's always a way. If you have the determination to do it, you're gonna do it. So that's my example of that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Chris, because like I'm the same way. Like I'm first generation college student. So for me, not necessarily nursing was my second path. Like I always knew I wanted to pursue nursing. It was just, how am I going to get there, in the sense that it's very difficult to get into California nursing schools, especially in the Sacramento area. So like Chris said, like if you want it, there's a way to get it. It's just trying to figure out how to get around all of the obstacles to do it. If that means taking a CNA course to get hands-on experience, or volunteering in the hospital, like that, those things will help you get around the challenge of getting into a nursing program, because it's not impossible. Like they want people to apply to these programs and get in. It's just I feel like it's more about who's the most dedicated kind of to getting it and doing all the things to show that they really want to pursue the profession. So that's what I would say. So I agree with Chris.
I'm going to chime in with both Chris and Kayla. Coming from a different background, as far as I was a criminal justice major, a lot of my science courses, like anatomy, physiology that I took as general ed, I didn't have those A's, I didn't have those B's. So when I changed majors, I mean, that was a huge part of nursing school, is these core science classes that you need to get pretty much A's or high B's to get that GPA to even qualify or be competitive. So once I decided that I wanted to do nursing and not criminal justice, I had to tackle those C's in these, really big classes. I had to go back and retake them. And I did get my A's in them and boost my GPA. But I think a lot of people think that, oh, well, I didn't get the A's and B's, I'm not going to do nursing, even though that's what they really want, are really passionate about. I just want to let you guys know that it is still possible. You just have to go back and do the work. And at least from the people that I talked to through my program, was they really saw in my application that I was really determined. I mean, to go back and take these courses, these courses aren't easy. I'm sure all of you guys know they're pretty brutal, even, A&P and microbiology and chemistry. They're hard classes. And to show that, hey, I want to be a nurse, I'm going to go back, I'm going to, retake these classes, I'm going to do well, shows a lot about, how driven you are to become that nurse. And it shows a lot about your character and personality. So, even if you don't necessarily right now have the GPA, know that there, like Chris said, there is a way. You just got to go and, find it and really push yourself and be determined, and everything is possible.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that, when I first started my journey, I was young, I was a single parent, I worked full time. So it definitely took me longer than others. And my GPA also wasn't as competitive as I would have liked at the time. But I think one thing that I did was just remain persistent. And I'll even give the example of myself. I applied to the first time I applied to my program, I was not accepted, I was waitlisted, but I didn't let that stop me. I went ahead and applied again. And then here I am. So I think it's just important not to compare your journey to anybody else. And then just remember, like, it's not how you fall, but it's how you get back up and, still work towards reaching your goal.
All right. That was good. But I guess I'll go on my part too. Kind of more in a realistic sense. Like the nursing program is not easy. It's not. I'm gonna just be kind of frank about it. Getting into the program, trying to get your prereqs in line with each other, trying to get the grades, trying to get the kind of just getting the mindset, almost just trying to focus on, okay, it's like, this is what I got to do. I just got to do it. Second guessing yourself is probably what's going to hold you back for the most part, because when you're in the midst of those classes, you're like, wow, this class is really hard. I don't know if I really want to do this now. You just got to power through it, because once you pass that class, then at the end, you're just like, wow, this is easy. I did it. I don't care anymore. So when you're in the middle of it, just power through it. It's going to be hard. Yeah. And I think that's like a lot of things that most of these teachers and other like students or other panels kind of like forget to say. I think it's like, it is hard. There's no such thing as probably like an easy class, like trying to find the easy teacher, doing all this like extended research, trying to make sure that it's like super, super easy, that you can kind of just, do whatever you want. But a lot of these classes, they do require like a lot of the work. You just gotta put it in. Sometimes there's going to be some days, even on a Friday weekend, where you have to put in that extra time than, versus like a weekday or something like that. You're going to find yourself in those positions and you're going to be like, wow, this sucks. Yeah. All my friends are doing this and that and this and that. But you just have to do it, because in reality, once you get past all of this and then you're in the stage of applying and stuff like that, you're like, wow, I did it. And it was, even if it took you, a couple of years, or it took you, a year flat, and you just power through it all, you're going to be grateful for yourself because you actually did it. So kind of going back to like what I was saying before, is no such thing as it going to be easy. So kind of not trying to be mean about it, but just kind of drill it in your head and just realize that it's like, okay, this is going to be, kind of a tough, hard journey in a sense. So just keep that in mind and just power through it. It'll be good in the end or whatever. You'll realize it and you'll kind of commit to it eventually. You will. It's just a mindset. And then you realize, like, you just start taking everything a lot more serious, the grades a lot more serious and stuff like that. You start taking yourself a lot more serious, and you kind of realize that you have to set time apart to go study, to do homework, to do more things related, other info meetings such as this, to kind of like getting yourself pumped up to kind of applying and then being a nurse and doing all this other stuff and everything like that, telling the other nurses, telling the people who are nurses or, friends with them, to see what they say and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of more of like a mindset than anything else, just getting yourself focused, just commit to it and then you'll do good. Just trust in yourself. It'll be all right.
And I actually want to add one more thing. Sometimes it's not the right time for certain people. I'm going to give a personal example. I was in nursing school 5 years ago, but I didn't pass. And, back then imagine being I was 6 months away from graduating. Imagine how I felt. I feel like a failure, but it's been 5 years. And after 5 years, I realized that, I wasn't at the right time in my life. I had too many distractions. I wasn't matured enough. Nursing is you have to be mature. You have to have, like Aries says, you have to have the right mindset. And sometimes that comes with experience, with life experience. And so even if you have a different background, like Leticia, or you're coming from a different degree, or maybe if you don't feel that you're capable yet, there's no race here. It's nursing. What I like about it, it's a variety of people with different life experiences, and that's what we get to share with our patients. We get to share our experience with them. We better relate to them. I feel, in my opinion, I feel after failing, after I cried so much. I felt like I reached a low point in my life because I had so many things going on in my life. I feel like I could better relate now to people when they say, I feel emotionally distraught, or whatever. I feel like I'm at that low. I feel I can better relate to that. So, but as a student, just know that it's not a race. We need to be mature enough for this program. We need to be in the right mindset for it.
Great, thank you guys all for that. So somewhat in the same lines of that, but how many schools did you guys apply to, and how much time did you guys invest into the application process? And I guess the third part of it, did you utilize any resources to apply?
Ooh, okay. I really like this question. So I applied to 3 schools and 4 programs, and you're probably like, Kayla, that doesn't even make sense. So for Samuel Merritt, you can apply to programs simultaneously as long as they have you can apply to more than one program at a time. So I applied to the entry-level master's program and then the second bachelor's, because my first bachelor's is in sociology from Sac State. And then I applied to Chamberlain out of state. And then I was also going to apply to GCU's ABSN program because I knew I wanted to go back for that advanced practicing degree. So I was like, I spent time in undergrad. I'm going to have to go back for another nursing degree, and then I'm going to have to go back for another one. So how can I kind of get the best bang for my buck, kind of in a way? So I applied to those schools, and I pretty much worked on my application from the moment it opened to exactly when it closed. Not every single day, but just, opening it and getting familiar with the essay questions. If I had something that came in my head, I would write it down on my notes app on my phone, when I was working, oh, this experience would be really good for me to, mention because it made a really big impact on me because I work in hospice and end of life care right now and before nursing school. So I was like, oh my gosh, that, that really struck me. So let me write that down so that I can really show who I am in my application. And then pretty much after that, up until the due date, I was just working on refining my essay to show the admissions committees who I really am. Because like Chris and everyone else said, you're more than just your grades, like you're more than just your GPA. There are a lot of qualities you have to offer that will set you apart from your classmates. So take advantage of that. I mean, I didn't have a 4.0 applying to nursing school with these prerequisites. Oh my gosh, no, like I barely survived the prerequisites. But I also had a lot of outside experiences that made a huge impact on just me in general, that showed them that I am mature enough for such a rigorous level program at the age that I am, because I'm the youngest person in my entire class. The average age of people in my cohort is maybe 30, 32, and I'm only 22. And I started the program when I was 21. So they're probably like, oh, well, she's like a kid applying to this graduate program. How do we know she's ready? Well, she's worked in hospice and end of life care, and she's worked through the pandemic, and she's lost, you know, this many patients in this amount of time, and she's still worked through it and still worked with these patients every day. So showing them who you are in your application is everything. And that is what will set you apart. Not just the fact that you can get an A in a class. I mean, if everybody studies for a class and studies for a test, everybody can get an A. But what's different that's going to set you apart, that shows them you deserve it and that you're ready for it? Because you do deserve to be in nursing school if that's what you really want to do. So just showing them that you've been persistent enough and that you want that, that means everything, and that'll set you apart when it's time to apply. So that's my spiel.
How much time did I invest in my application? Or is that the question we're on? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I have a little dog here. Hold on. Yeah, so it's how much time you invested into your application, if you used any resources to help you with the application, and how many programs did you apply to?
Okay, so I applied only to associate degree programs, and for me it was a money issue. You know, like I said, I come from a low income family, and sometimes you got to go with what you can go. And ADN programs are affordable. They're really affordable compared to some of these BSN programs, especially if you go private. They can get really expensive. So for me, it was a money issue. So you really have to, luckily there's so many programs out there, they're just really competitive. That's the hardest part about it. Doesn't matter if it's associate, doesn't matter if it's bachelor's, they're competitive. So your grades will matter. But like Kayla said, your grades don't mean everything. Your experiences, they can make you a better applicant too. Some people tell me sometimes, some like nursing managers on floors, they tell me something that stick with me is that they say, you can teach anyone the skills that it takes to be a nurse, but you can't teach someone to be a good person. And really that's what nursing should strive to be. You know, it's a collection of good people helping other people. Because it's the truth. You can really teach this to any person. So just strive to become a better person, strive to be inspirational to others, strive to be the best person you can be, and that's going to lead you to success.
I only applied to one school, Samuel Merritt, and that's because the ABSN program was really appealing for me in my personal life. I have a 5-year-old son, so I needed to get in and out quick as possible. You know, because having a family and going to school for a long period of time is it's hard. So I applied twice. I didn't get in the first time. I was waitlisted. And then I actually used, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but allnurses.com. They have like different forums there where you can communicate with other applicants who apply to, you know, any other school. I mean, they have different little forms that you can look up. And I actually found the Samuel Merritt thread for the application cycle that I was applying to. And the reason I like that is because I was able to get updated, hey, you know, the application opened, and or don't forget to submit this. And they kind of helped you remind you, because, you know, life happens and sometimes you forget, right? So I would sign up for the notifications, and I would get the notifications like, hey, you know, make sure your application closed on this time. And so I used that, and I actually reached out to a lot of people, and we kind of compiled like okay, well, people will put up their GPAs, and you would see that not everyone had that 4.0. Some people had like a barely or like a 3.0, and they would get accepted, so that you could see like the differences of, you don't have to get that 4.0, that there's other things that the school is looking for. So that was kind of refreshing to know that, okay, just because I don't have that 4.0 doesn't mean that my chances of getting in are, not strong. So and then we kind of just ended up becoming friends, and like 3 of us ended up getting in the same cohort, and we all became great friends. So it was kind of neat to kind of have that journey with all of us. But I definitely spent, I want to say, a good 6 to 8 months, like looking into the program, what is going to make me competitive or stand out, reading what the program's mission is, or just like when you're applying to any hospitals or any employment, read what they're known for, read a little bit about the program, and and then putting that into my essays that they asked me to write for them. And so I really did a lot of research on the school, on the program, what I needed to be competitive, such as like volunteer work. So I would really advise, if you have a particular school in mind, to really do your research, really take your time. I mean, editing, grammar, all of those little things, matter when you're applying to these schools. So don't do it the last minute. You need to make sure that when you submit your resume, you print it out. How is it going to print if they choose to print it? The formatting issue, anything like those little, you have to be able to like take your time. Don't wait till last minute, because little things like that, like formatting, or I should have put a comma here, or there's a space here. Those are things that take time for you to notice. Have people proofread for you. When you're applying to a nursing school, think of it as you're applying for your first nursing job. Like you look at every little fine detail, have people proofread your stuff, and you'll get to know, or you'll get to find that it takes time. You're not going to do it in 3 days or a week. So I would definitely suggest that look at the school, read up on it, and then take your time. Don't wait until the last minute to apply to, programs like this, because you're competing with a lot of other students. So.
Also, I feel like another really big thing, like we all kind of mentioned, is timing. Like, kind of be strategic when you're picking when you want to apply. I was going to wait until I was applying for my original start date to be August 2022, but then COVID came and a lot of schools changed their admission requirements. And my mentor was like, just apply. You never know what happens. You could get into one, you could get into none, just see what happens. And I actually ended up getting into almost all of the programs I applied to, simply just because of timing. And I feel like if I would have waited, I wouldn't have been fit for that cohort that they were looking for at that time, a year from now. So be strategic when you want to apply, and think about the best timing, or when the best timing would be for you.
All really great tips, guys. Thank you so much. So the next question is, what is your favorite part about nursing school? I see Kayla's face. I'm sure there's something.
Clinicals, because you actually get hands-on experience, and then the patients that you meet. I mean, I have so many stories still I can remember patients' names. I can go back vividly and remember that situation, and remember the smile, or remember the gentleman that said, hey, if I had to give you a grade, I'll give you an A+. Little things like that it's the most fun part of nursing school, because you get patient to patient, you get to, actually deal with human beings and not mannequins, like where they, it's just fun. And then, you have your cohort members with you, and you end up becoming family. It's more than just friends, you become family because you're in this stressful situation. I would definitely say clinicals, and just the friendships that you make through, nursing school.
I agree with Leticia. I think the clinical experience that I've gained as a nurse has really allowed me to appreciate the nursing profession and hone in on nursing skills. And like what I mean by that is, I think when we step out of like the student nurse role, there's like a lot more pressure, a lot more at stake, and I think more is expected that may prevent us from like practicing or refining like skills that aren't considered as essential as others, like that therapeutic communication, just like being present with patients, talking to them. So I agree that I think clinical is a great opportunity to really like step in and do all that you can before we, you go out into the clinical setting as like a staff nurse.
Okay, going along with clinicals. I know we all dread it, but I kind of like doing care plans. I'm not going to lie, you guys, because like, yeah, they're super long, but it almost feels like a little investigation. Like, you pick a patient and then you're trying to like find all these things in their MAR to like fill out your care plan. Like I had one patient who had viral meningitis and we couldn't figure out why he had it. And comes to find out he had, HIV. So like learning that was really interesting, how that was like, a secondary, like it was so fascinating because that's not something I would have seen in like my class, like in the lecture. So the care plans, I will say, they're dreadful, but it's also really interesting because it's a little investigation into your patient that you're going to have. So I'll say the care plans.
I guess for me, I guess it would have to be like clinical related. I'm a people person, so I like talking to people. I like talking to the patients and stuff like that. I like, because they're not gonna lie, sometimes there's gonna be patients where they're kind of sour, right? They don't want to really talk to you. They're just in bed, right? They don't really want to do anything. They're just kind of looking at you and just kind of like, so you're gonna leave, type of thing. So so it's kind of cool to me to kind of break it down, trying to give them, if they're like at a level 1, out of 10, I kind of like to get them at least to a level 5, kind of get comfortable, at least, me, type of thing. So for me, I like talking to the patients. I like talking to people. I like kind of breaking them down a little bit. The care plans do help a lot because it gives you like the background information. So I don't mind those typically, but for the most part, it really is just people. So I like the clinical setting of talking to the people or talking to the patients, and then talking to the nurses as well, because sometimes they also have really good things to say. They have a lot of experience most of the time and stuff like that. So, when you get into that setting, it's cool to kind of get out your own personal zone. Go out and talk to people. Go out and talk to the nurses. The other types of professionals just walking around and stuff like that. You'll see them, and stuff like that. You're gonna have multiple patients most of the time, as you progress throughout and stuff like that. More and more patients you gotta kind of just handle and kind of just watch over and stuff like that. So get to know them. Don't just walk in there and just be like, okay, here's this and this and that, and then dip. Sometimes it helps just to kind of talk to them, break them down and stuff like that. So yeah, just get to know them. The people and the patients and the nurses, they're all really helpful.
And then I agree too. I really love clinicals, but unfortunately, at least for my program, COVID kind of wrecked everything up. But something else I really like about nursing school is like learning about pathophysiology, learning about like disease processes, like because we learn to deal with so we learn about the problem. Okay, what's the solution to that problem? Where they say that nursing is a person-centered care, right? We don't treat the disease process so much. We treat the person. What are their symptoms? What are their signs? Learning about all that, it's so interesting to me because it's things that are so useful. You can share this. This is stuff you can share with your patients. Health promotion. You can share these things, and they can share it along with other people too, and then healthier society. So for me, it's pathophysiology, learning how to deal with all these situations. So interesting for me.
So the next question is, a lot of us, because we are minorities in healthcare, suffer from imposter syndrome. So how is it, if any of you have ever felt that, how is it that you kind of overcame it or are trying to overcome it now?
I feel like the biggest thing is like making sure to remember who you are and why you decided to pursue nursing, because that's ultimately what you're going to have to come back to every single day. Like, even if you don't do well on an exam and you're like, oh, I didn't pass this exam, like I'm gonna be a terrible nurse, like oh, this is like, of course I didn't do good on it because of A, B, and C. And you're like comparing yourself to your classmates, but you have to remember that like, it's just one test. It's not the end of the world. Like there's going to be another one. There's going to be a chance to improve. So you can't always like try and compare yourself to others. So trying to stay away from that as much as possible. It's going to be hard because it's like, everybody's gonna be like, oh my God, test grades are out. Oh my God, what'd you get? Oh, what was the high? What was the low? What was the average? So I like to say, as long as I'm close to the average of the class exam, then I usually don't beat myself up too much about it. But there have been times where I didn't pass a test and I'm like, it's okay. There's going to be another one. I'll definitely pass the next one. You know, what did I do this time that I didn't, or what am I going to do next time that I didn't do this time? So just making sure to remember who you are and why you decide to pursue nursing will ultimately be what keeps you grounded during your entire program. Because once you graduate, you may not have all your classmates around you every single day to support you and lift you up. So you have to be able to pick yourself up and continue on to the next day in your career. So making sure you are able to do that is probably the key.
I think for me, I mean, I'll be honest, I've gotten a C in nursing school and, you know, and it's not, especially when you fought so hard to get those high GPAs to be competitive to get into nursing school, that you have this mindset, I need to get those A's, I need to get those B's, I need to get, and it's hard to kind of let go of it. So when I got my first C, I literally was traumatized, like, oh my God, like I'm not cut out to be a nurse. You know, you're going to get these things in your head. But I had one professor always tell me, just because you get C's on an exam doesn't mean that you're not going to be a great nurse. You know, doesn't impact your ability to take care of people. And I would always think back at my clinical experiences and those memories that, you know, I made for myself and be like, okay, I got a C on this one exam. It's not going to kill me. I'm going to be fine. I'm still gonna be a great nurse. I am a great nurse, and just kind of hone in on that. Nurse, like we all said, nursing school is hard. It's not meant to be easy. So if you get, you know, that C on one exam, it's not going to be detrimental to you. You know, it's, you learn from it, like Kayla said, and you just improve upon it. And, you know, the next time you see that question, you're like, okay, I get it. I know what that is. And you'll never forget those questions that you miss, at least not for myself. Like if I was asked that today, I would know it because I drilled it into my head. But, you know, it's just knowing that it's okay not to get an A on an exam. It's supposed to be hard. And just going back to, like Kayla said, knowing that you are a great nurse, you're going to be a great nurse, and then just not soaking in that, you know, despair that you have at the moment, and knowing that there's always a tomorrow. You can do better. Just work harder next time.
Great, thank you guys. So the next question is, what experience outside of school or like the educational setting are you involved with in order to network or increase your chances of landing an RN position post-graduation?
I would say just talking to people. So I didn't even know this, but I at my gym, I was just like, one of the coaches was like, oh, are you on break from nursing school? And I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, we have 3 weeks off. And this lady who I talk to all the time, she jumped in and she was like, oh my God, I didn't know you were in nursing school. And I was like, yeah, like I just finished up my 2nd semester. And she's like, oh, well, like, you know, if you ever need anything, I see you here all the time, just let me know, because I'm a manager over at Kaiser. Super random, never would have known, but just by talking to people and being open, I'm making those connections. And that's how I joined CCBNA. I have a friend that I went to Sac State with. I'm kind of following her footsteps. She went to Samuel Merritt. Now I go there. And she's the one who brought me to CCBNA because she was like, there are some great people that you need to meet over here. So honestly, just talking to people, being open, making sure your LinkedIn is up to date and that it looks great, because you can always say, oh, just add me on LinkedIn and we can catch up later. Like, those are my top 2 tips: LinkedIn and just talking to people.
Yeah, I agree. Connections are everything in nursing, and joining associations like here, it helps a lot. And something else, at least in my case, and actually in anyone's case, joining externships whenever there's an externship available. Try to join those, because those are really beneficial to our careers. You know, I'm actually in one right now. I'm in Southern California, unlike most of you. Over here we have UC San Diego, so I have an externship at their hospital. So that for me, that'll help me, you know, make all the connections with the managers on their floors and nurses on their units. That way they get to know me, and maybe I can even get hired eventually when I eventually graduate and I'm looking for a job out there. So just making connections, that's the key.
I would definitely, I just graduated and well, 6 months ago, and it took me 6 months to get I just was offered on Tuesday my first job. Thank you. So it definitely was hard. You think you just graduated nursing school, great, you're gonna go get a job. Well, it's a little bit harder in some cases, if not most, because you are a new nurse and you don't have the 2 years of experience underneath your belt. But what I did to kind of better my chances was I did become a part of a lot of associations that I one day want to work in, like peds hem-onc oncology. I became a member of APON. I did also do a lot of my ACLS classes certifications, which is for a lot of employers are becoming now mandatory that you have your ACLS certification. If you want to do peds or neonatal, go get your PALS, go get your NRP. Getting certified in those areas that, these certifications are required to work in those areas. Or if you want to work, let's say in critical care, do an EKG class, which I just finished too. And I think a lot of my certifications and a lot of like the extra classes that I did help me land this job in particular, because they asked me a lot of questions about my certifications and classes. That would be one of my biggest, I guess, tidbits of like what you can do is, try to get your certifications to help you land a job, because it is sometimes also competitive to land a job after you graduate.
All right, so just kind of quickly, and then that way we can answer some of the other questions as well. But what is one piece of advice that you would give students looking at applying to nursing school? And it can be advice about anything, whether it's applying to nursing school, about how to succeed in nursing school, how to land a job after nursing school. So it can really be anything that you guys feel would be good advice for these students wanting to go into the nursing profession.
I'd say for success during nursing school is you're never going to feel like you know everything. So just take it in strides with what you do know to do what you have to do to get through the nursing program, because nursing school is just one piece of the puzzle to get to where you want to be to make the impact that you want. So yes, it's going to be hard. I still feel like I don't know anything ever, and I'm getting ready to enter my 3rd semester and go into critical care. But there are things that I know, and you'll know it when you need it. So even if you don't feel like you know everything, that's totally fine. Nobody knows everything. There are going to be times when you have to look things up. That's totally fine. The nurses I've worked with, when my clinicals, they're always looking up things, like especially during med pass, a patient will randomly say, oh, even though I've been taking that medication for 5 days, why do I still need to take it? And the nurse is like, oh, let me look it up so I can tell you, just because they don't remember. So it's okay to not know everything. And that's fine. So you know what you know, and just go in strides every single semester, take it one day at a time. And next thing you know, you'll be finished.
Also, I would say just know what to ask for help, because it's difficult for everyone, not just for yourself. So if nursing school showed me anything, is that collaborating and teamwork, it goes a long way. So I know that, or we should all know that we have to, lend a helping hand to others. Others can help us. It's a teamwork type of thing sometimes in school. You know, study groups. Your instructors can help you. Just knowing that you need help and reaching out to others, that is really helpful.
Yeah, I would definitely say use tutoring while in nursing school if you need it. I used it all the time. My school also had a mentor mentee program, which was also key to my success. You know, I created a really good bond with my mentor, and I still talk to her to this day. And she kind of, because she took the classes prior to me, she kind of helped, you know, set my expectations on, Harry, this is the way I studied for this exam. This teacher asked questions differently. This is the way I would study. So I would definitely use, you know, or if they don't even have a mentor mentee program, reach out to someone maybe in the cohort before you, trying to get communications through that way, or use tutoring services, which, you know, are great as well for success.
I guess I'll go. So was the about like the nursing experience in general?
So what advice would you give students wanting to go into nursing, and any kind of advice, whether it's about applications, it's about, you know, how to succeed in nursing school, or how to succeed after graduation?
Okay. Well, since I'm in it, I guess I can give some some 2 cents about being in it. Well, for me, it's kind of just like how I was saying, just kind of like being in it. You want to make sure that, you know, you talk to your classmates, you're kind of always in that mindset of like you want to be a part of it. You know, there's going to be times when you feel like, oh, I'm just not in the mood, but you kind of have to shake it off. You know, there's going to be times where it's going to be kind of rough and you're not really feeling it. You're going to be tired and stuff like that, because clinicals is draining. It is. It's just, that's just how it is. You know, you wake up early, you leave late, and then you got to do it all over again. But the process itself, it helps build you. It builds your character. So just stay tough, and kind of like how I was saying, like a long time ago, just power through it. Also, just talk to your classmates, you know, be friends with them. It's going to seem kind of stressful because it's like you feel like you're all by yourself and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. When in reality, it's a whole class of people. You know, it's like it's all of you guys. It's 20 people doing the exact same thing. So you're not really alone. It feels like it, but you're not. So, you know, try to be friends with them, ask questions and stuff like that. Because even if you feel like you don't know something, somebody probably does and stuff like that. So if, like, let's say I don't know what you know, what question A is or something like that, and you don't know it, so you feel like, okay, if I don't know it, probably nobody else knows it, and it's whatever. But in reality, somebody else knows what question A is and stuff like that, but they don't know what question B is, but you know what question B is. So it's like you can kind of go back and forth and being friends with people, and that's usually how it starts and stuff like that. There's no, you know, secret code of being friends with people or getting along with, you know, with the people in your class and stuff like that. It's just how it is and stuff like that. I know somebody asked a question about my experience and how to navigate through it as like a male. It's just, I didn't really, like, it's a good question, but I haven't really thought about it like that. I always, I guess part of, you know, nursing, what do you call it, quality, treat everybody the same and everything like that. That's always how I've seen it. Like in my class, I am like the second or third guy, I think. I think is I'm like the second, there's only 2 guys in the class, I think, as of now. But you know, having a predominantly girl or a female class with a female occupation, stuff like that, it kind of boosted me in a way, in a sense, because it's like, wow, okay, like the only guy here. So I guess kind of pumps me up. It's like, okay, now I gotta do good. I'm like, I'm like the only guy here. So you know, you kind of have to show out. But in a sense, it did kind of push me a little bit. It just made me feel like I was doing a little bit better than, you know, my other friends or other males, just like in college. Because, you know, most of the time You'll see most males be like doctors or something like that, psychiatrists, something other than being a nurse, right? But in a sense, it's all be just helping people. You can't really think about like, okay, he's the only guy here, so I don't know what he's doing here. This is all girls. It must be feel kind of weird, right? It's like, no, I mean, in a sense of being like a male nurse, and that's what I want to be and stuff like that. It all just comes down to like, who you are, in here and in your heart and stuff like that. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it's kind of how it is. In my perspective, I don't really look at it as nursing being just a female thing. It's like whoever wants to help the people that need the help. I think that's what it comes down to and stuff like that. So I know a lot of guys kind of get like a lot of, like slang towards this. Like, oh, he's a guy. Why is he being a nurse? Why can't he just be like a doctor or something like that? Some other guy profession, like a mechanic or something like that, engineer. But, you could, but, you're here now, you're looking at everything, you kind of realize how everything goes. You just want to help people out. And that's the most important thing that you kind of have to realize and stuff like that. Who you are as a person, your personality, who you want to be and stuff like that. And you can forge yourself, as you go along and stuff like that. Nobody's really born as a nurse, and stuff like that. You kind of build upon yourself, and then you realize even more who you want to be while you're building yourself up. So it's kind of it's a long process and stuff like that, but I think it's worth it. I do. So being a male nurse, it's probably like a good privilege and stuff like that, since it's like you barely see him. It's kind of like a rarity and stuff like that. But when you do see him kind of on the floor, realize it's not like they're not after the money or something like that. Most of the time it's not. There's a lot of different stuff that everybody can do and stuff like that. But regardless of the gender or stuff like that, people, you see them on the floor, people just want to help. They just want to help these people that can't help themselves and stuff like that. People grieve, people, sadly die all the time and stuff like that. So whoever you see on the floor, it's just going to be like, okay, they're here to help me. They're helping these people. They want to do good. So that's how I see it, at least.
Great, thank you so much. So now I'm going to open it up. I know we have a couple more minutes to anyone that would like to ask a question. You can just unmute yourself and ask it right now to our panelists. Anyone have any questions at all? If not, I'll post another question that I saw earlier. So from other nurses that are on the call, oh, it says it won't let unmute. So if you have any questions, put it on the chat and then I'll ask it on there. I'll ask them to our panelists. But for now, I guess nurses want to know how they can support you guys right now as students, especially, with the pandemic. So is there anything that they can do in order to support other nursing students?
I fixed it, so if you have a question, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, perfect.
Hey guys, this is Sandra. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, as you guys know, I'm the president of NON. Diana is my VP. She's amazing. Couldn't do it without her. And again, thank you to all our members who are participating. But I just wanted to say a few things. I know there's a common theme to this presentation, but I wanted to first shout out to Chris and Aries for being male nurses, and there's no shame in what you're doing. We need more men in nursing, period. We need more minorities in nursing, period. There's nothing when you're rolling up in your new ride and your friends are making fun of you, be like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's see who's laughing now, right? But I also wanted just to say a lot of the themes of this, joining organizations. I'm going to plug in our, of course, National Association of Hispanic Nurses, for networking, for building community, for helping out your community, for meeting new people. I mean, just for the basic networking, it's great. And also putting it on your application. Imagine if you're looking into applying to nursing and you're already part of an association as a pre-nursing student. I think that looks really great and that you're motivated. But congrats to all you guys. It's so exciting. I hope to see you guys soon. I mean, I know that Kayla, you're in the NP program. I mean, I love being a nurse practitioner. If you guys ever have questions, I know Diana has been looking into it. I'm sure she's going to do that soon. So a great career. Love what I do. So I'll put my information on the chat. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. But again, congrats to you guys. So excited to see you here. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else have any questions or any comments about anything?
Hi, my name is Fallon, and I'm a nurse practitioner, and I also work with Black pre-nursing students. But I just wanted to reiterate the word of advice about joining the organizations, especially as a student nurse, because the association fee is a lot less expensive during that time frame. And a lot of times, not only is it during nursing school, but some organizations allow for up to 1 year as a new grad afterwards. So just keeping that in mind. So when people are asking for, what do you want for graduation and those type of things, investing in self, I think, is really highly critical, because yes, someone can buy you the new Littman, stethoscope, for instance, but when you invest in being around others that are working within the same niche that you are, so no matter if it's, national Hispanic nurses, national Black nurses, if it's national, neonatal nursing, for instance, what have you, you are continuously being fed in that mindset for what you need for that specific specialty or area within nursing. And then that opens up mentorship, opportunities for scholarships, and so much more. And I'm just so grateful to have been a part of NBNA for all of these years. I've won 2 scholarships and just had lots of opportunities and put on in many different platforms and rooms that I would not have been in without them. And so I just strongly encourage joining as a student and taking advantage. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And we have one last question for our panel. So someone says they're a senior in high school and they're wondering if there was anything you guys did or wish you would know prior to or during high school, I apologize, in order to get into a nursing school.
Kelly, did you want to go?
I was gonna say it's kind of hard to say exactly what I would have done in high school to get ready for nursing school, but I feel like the best thing you could do to set yourself up for success is figuring out best how you study early on, so that you're able to study smarter and not harder throughout everything, whether you are still in high school and then you do 2 years of prereqs and then transfer, or you go to a JC or whatever it is. You'll always know how you study best for every single class and know your learning style. I feel like that's like the major thing. And then maybe volunteering too, if you have time for that, with like extracurriculars that you're probably already doing.
I think I would only add to Kayla's suggestions is try to make connections with your teachers or professors, or when you get into your, nursing school and do your clinicals, your nurses, your preceptors, just so you can have their contact and they get to know you. So when you ask them for like a letter of recommendation, which some nurses schools, if not all nurses school, will ask you letters of recommendation from professors, or when you apply to a job, they want letters of recommendations. So just establishing those connections with, professors, clinical instructors, or even your nurses, I think are also key on getting into nursing school, getting a job. So just keep that in mind.
And the only thing that I would add would also be making sure that you find a mentor, because also being, first generation, sometimes students and not having anyone else that in healthcare, it could be really difficult to even find what classes you need, or what, how to find a volunteering position, how to find a job, like how to study. So it's really important that right at the beginning, you find a mentor and you hold on to them. And then what one of my mentors told me is you just bug them until they become your mentor. if it's someone that you really admire and you really want them to have on your team, eventually, they'll warm up to you. And I know we're over time, but if our panel would be willing to answer one last question, are you guys okay with one more? Okay. So the last question is, what study strategies and tips did you utilize and also found helpful in school?
I think the best advice for studying that I can give is try to do a little bit every day. It sounds like a pain in the butt, but it helps because in high school you can kind of just wing it, or like in other types of situations you can kind of just do last day or day before, right? And you just be like, okay, I'm good. But for a lot of this stuff to get like in a like mindset and stuff like that, you should try to do it like a little bit every day, just get used to it and stuff like that. A lot of the classes probably don't really require it, and you probably don't really feel like it's a need and stuff like that. But once you kind of, study like, I don't know, let's say you had to read like 10 pages, right? Or something like that. If you do like 2 pages every day and stuff like that, and then you can kind of just like, review it every once in a while and stuff like that, you'll already be done by the time you take the test, quiz, or whatever, right? So at that point, you're just kind of reviewing on your own leisure instead of doing everything like last minute, a couple days before and stuff like that. So I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give is just kind of do it at your own pace, but kind of give yourself a schedule, kind of demand yourself to kind of do it and kind of push yourself to do it, because there's always that voice in the back of the head that's like, you don't need to do it right now. You can do it later. But if you kind of ignore it and kind of pump yourself up, it's like, okay, I can do it now. And then, I can do other stuff later. So if I do it now and actually pay attention, then it's going to be better for me. So, just always keep that in mind, stay positive about it. There's always that kind of like little nagging voice in the back of your head that's like, you don't really need to do this now. You don't really need to, you're smart enough to kind of do it later. You've done it before, but get into the mindset of just kind of doing a little bit every day, because when you get to this level, that's kind of what you have to do and stuff like that. There's no such thing as kind of doing everything last minute, because that's just, shooting yourself in the foot. For the most part. So you want to kind of build that up. And then when you get to this point, you already be like, okay, I know what to do. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And I think there's a couple of other suggestions as well in the chat that you can go ahead and look at on there as well. But we unfortunately are at the end of this group now, and look at the chat because there's new links in order to go to the new rooms. We were having some technical difficulties. And thank you guys to the panel very much. You guys are all super inspirational, and we can't wait to have you guys as RNs besides us. All right, thank you all.
Do I just end
Right,
it?
thank
Do
you.
I have to press anything else?
Yeah, I think you can just end for all.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.